Good morning, one and all. Today we are going to introduce in Java the fourth unit. The name of the unit is called Multi-threading in Java. Okay, here we are going to learn about what is multi-threading, what is thread, what is multitasking, how to create the threads. Okay, we are going to discuss different types of concepts here. Okay, na? So what is our unit name? Multi-threading in Java. That is the fourth unit according to your syllabus. So here we are going to introduce different types of concepts regarding multi-threading. Okay, so here we need to define what is multi-threading. Multi-threading in Java is a process of executing multiple threads simultaneously. Okay, multi-threading is a process. So process means it's one job, it's one application of executing multiple threads simultaneously. Okay, now it's going to execute multiple threads simultaneously. So that is called as a multi-threading in Java. So multiple threads means what? Here we need to know what is thread first of all. A thread is basically a lightweight sub-process. Okay, multi-threading in Java is a process. What we said? Multi-threading in Java is a process. But thread means what? It is a sub-process. It is a one of the sub-process. Okay, now like it going to perform multiple process. Process 1, process 2, process 3 like. Okay, it's having some sub-processes. Okay, now in a process we are having different types of sub-processes. That is called thread. Is a basically a lightweight sub-process, means a smallest unit of processing. Multi-processing and multi-threading both are used to achieve multitasking. The multi-processing and multi-threading, these both are used to achieve multitasking. Okay, na? So and also we need to define in another way. So what is thread? A thread is a single sequence of execution within a program. It is a single sequence of execution within a program. So we need to execute the sub processes. Okay, the sequence of sub processes. Okay, now so each time it execute one single sub process. That is the meaning of it. A thread is a single sequence of execution within a program. So means it refers to multiple threads of control within a single program. So that is the meaning what it refers the multiple threads. Okay, multiple sub processes of a control to control the sub processes within a single program. Each program can run multiple threads of control within it. Okay, na? Each program can run multiple threads of control within it. Okay, na? For example, web browsers. So web browsers means we are browsing something from browsers. Okay, na? So Google. Okay, na? For example, so we are browsing multiple processes. Okay, now sometimes we are browsing something, sometimes we are listening some music, sometimes we are while listening we are writing, sometimes while listening we are navigating web pages, different types of web pages. So that is the meaning. Okay, now each program can run multiple threads. Okay, na? So this web browser, in a web browser we are we can perform multiple sub-processes of control within it. That is a thread. For example, the web browser. Okay, na? Are you understood what is multi-threading? So what is multi-threading, ma? Multi-threading in Java is a process. It is a process for what? Of executing multiple threads simultaneously. Multiple threads simultaneously. So, what is thread? A thread is basically a lightweight sub-process, a smallest unit of processing. So, multiprocessing and multi-threading both are used to achieve multitasking. We have to see what is multitasking later. And also we can define a thread is a single process of execution within a program. It refers to multiple threads of control within a single program, or each program can run multiple threads of control with it. For example, is a web browser. Next, multitasking. So, multitasking means what? So, multitasking is a process of executing multiple tasks simultaneously. So, multitasking is a process of executing multiple tasks simultaneously. We use multitasking to utilize the CPU. So, where we are using this multitasking concept to utilize the CPU. Multiple jobs we can perform, that is called multitasking. So, what is multitasking? Multitasking is a process of, it is a one process. Which type of process it is? Executing multiple tasks simultaneously. We use multitasking to utilize the CPU. Okay, that is multitasking. More than one program can run concurrently. That is also one point. That is also called multitasking. More than one program are running concurrently. That is called multitasking. For example, Unix programming, Unix cell programming. Okay, na? So, more than one program can running simultaneously. That is multitasking. So, how we can achieve this multitasking? We are achieving this multitasking by two ways. First, process based multitasking. Second one, thread based multitasking. Process based multitasking is also called as multiprocessing. The process based multitasking is called as multiprocessing. The thread based multitasking is also called as multi-threading. Okay, threading or multi-threading. Okay, that is process thread based multitasking. Okay, is also called as multi-threading. Okay, so how many ways to achieve multitasking? Two ways. What is the first one? Process based multitasking is also called as multiprocessing. Second one, thread based multitasking is also called as multi-threading. So, is simple. You can see now what is process based multitasking. Okay, na? So, each process have its own address in memory. So, each process have its own address. So, when we store the particular process in a memory location, already we know how what is the memory and how to store the processes in a particular memory. So, how the variables allocate the space, how the variables reserved in a particular memory through address, memory address. Okay, according to memory address, the variables will be stored in a particular memory locations by using the indexing order. So, why? Because so this is a homogeneous according to arrays. So, that is what? Okay, now each process have its own address in memory. That is, each process allocates separate memory area. Each and every process is allocated with a separate memory area, and process is high weight. And process is high weight. Cost of communication between the process is high. The communication between the process cost is very high. So, that is the process based multitasking. Next, thread based multitasking is nothing but multi-threading. Means threads share the same address space Above what each process have its own address in memory. Here the threads shares the same address space. Why? Because the thread is a sub-process. The thread is a sub-process. Okay. For that they can share the same address space. Next, thread is a lightweight. The process is the heavyweight. So the thread is the lightweight, and also cost of communication between the thread is low. Cost of communication between the process is high, but here the cost of communication between the thread is low. Okay na? That is what process based multitasking and what thread based multitasking. Okay na? This question is asked for 2 marks questions frequently, like the differentiate between the process based multitasking and thread based multitasking. You have to see these points, you have to write according to them. Okay na? That is the answer to that question, differentiation between process based multitasking and thread based multitasking. Okay. Next, advantages of multi-threading. So why you are using this multi-threading concept? What is the advantage and what are the advantages of Java multi-threading? We have to see here. According to first point, it does not block the user. It does not block the user because threads are independent and you can perform multiple operations at the same time. Okay na? It's when the threads is coming one by one, but it's not to block the user, but each thread is related to a particular user na, end user. So according to, it's not to block the users because threads are independent. Each and every thread is independent together, and you can perform multiple operations at the same time. So according to that reason, you can perform multiple operations at the same time. Okay, now that is the first point. The second point, you can perform many operations together, so it saves time. Okay, now, so when it allows the multiple users to perform multiple operations at the same time, what will be happens? According to the time is saved. Okay, now that is another advantage. It's followed by the second one. And so it follows the second one. The input of first point is output of the second point. And third point, the threads are independent. In general, the threads are independent according to that. Okay, now each and every thread is independent, so it does not affect other threads. So each and everyone has its own memory space. So according to memory address. So meanwhile, they are going to execute one by one sequentially. So that's why they are, each and every thread is independent together. That's why doesn't affect one thread is not affected by another thread. Okay, now that is must and should. That is the main advantage here. If execution occurs in a single thread. Okay, next, Java multi-threading is mostly used in games and animations, etc. So when this concept is mostly used in games and animations, etc. These are the advantages. We are having so many advantages. The main advantages of multi-threading. So what is the first point? It does not block the user. Why? Because the threads are independent and you can perform multiple operations at the same time. So when you perform multiple operations or many operations together or at the same time, so it saves the time automatically. The threads are independent, so it does not affect the other threads if execution occurs in a single thread. Okay, na? Java and Java multi-threading is mostly used in games and animations, etc. So those are the advantages of multi-threading. So here we know the basic introduction points regarding what is multi-threading, what is thread, and what is multitasking. So how to perform the multitasking with the help of two ways. So the first one, process based multitasking and thread based multitasking. We can see what is process based and what is thread based multitasking with the different points, and also we saw advantages of multi-threading. Now we are going to learn about the Java thread model or the thread life cycle. This question is asked in different ways, the Java thread model, and also they can explain they ask to explain the Java thread model, or they will ask to explain the thread life cycle. Okay, now so here thread, and first we need to say the life cycle of a thread. We require one main thread. Okay, now we need to start somewhere else, na? So that thread is called as a main thread as usually. Okay, na? So that is called the main thread. So what is main thread? You have to see here. When a Java program starts up, when we start to write the Java program, one thread being running immediately. So at least it starts from one thread, so one sub process. So that the main thread is called as a main thread. This is usually called the main thread of your program. So that's why usually we can call a main thread of our program, because it is the one that is executed when your program begins. So it is that's why it will call the main thread. The main thread is important for two reasons. Why the main thread is important? It is important for two reasons. First, it is the thread from which other child threads will be spanned. Okay, na? So when you create the main thread, that is also called as a parent thread actually. Okay, na? Or super thread. Okay, that is the main. So when we create that main thread, automatically we can span the child threads. So we can create the child threads. That is the main use of that. So that is why what? It is the thread from which other child threads will be spanned. Next, often it must be the last thread to finish execution because it performs various shutdown actions. So the main thread last ki execute avutundi. Okay na? It must be at last thread be finished execution because it performs various shutdown actions. That is the main use of. First create chestamu, దాన్ని బట్టి చైల్డ్ థ్రెడ్స్ని మనం స్వాన్ చేస్తాము. సో లాస్ట్ దాన్ని మనం మెయిన్ థ్రెడ్ని మళ్ళీ మనం ఫినిష్ చేస్తాము. సో దట్ ఈస్ ద మెయిన్ థ్రెడ్. హియర్ యూ కెన్ సీ the thread can be one of the 5 states. So each thread it can be one of the 5 states. Okay na? Each sub process it's be one of the 5 states. According to Sun, for example, you can consider the real time example. According to Sun, there is only 4 states. There is only 4 states. Already we know in thread life cycle in 4 states. So in thread life cycle in Java, so when we consider the thread life cycle in Java, so we are having different types of states. So for example, new, runnable, non-runnable, and terminated. So different types of states we are having. Okay na? There is no running state. There is no running state. So but for better understanding the thread, we are explaining in the 5 states. For better understanding, we need to explain the thread life cycle in 5 states. So the life cycle of the thread in Java is controlled by JVM. So who will control this all process? The life cycle of the thread in Java is controlled by whom? JVM. What is the abbreviation of JVM? Java Virtual Machine. Already we discussed it's having its own compilers and interpreters. Okay na? That's why the Java is independent according to this reason. Okay na? So these all thread life cycle in Java is controlled by JVM. The Java thread states are as follows. So according to Java life cycle, the thread states are as follows according to the here we can having 5 states. So what is the first one? New state. Second one, runnable or ready state. Runnable state is also called as ready state. Different textbooks and different notes, they can be mentioned in different ways according to these two words. So some are using runnable, some are using ready. So you can without any confusion I put here runnable or ready state. Number third state, running state. Fourth state, non-runnable or wait state, that is also called as a blocked state. So non-runnable, so there is no action is going to be performed, no process is going to be executed, that is blocked state. Or also waiting state, it's wait for some resources, either input resources and whatever we are having different and memory for example. So that is the non-runnable states are also called as wait state, waiting state. Next, terminate state. Last one is the terminate state, is also called as a dead states. Okay, now how many states we are having? According to Java thread life cycle, we are having 5 states. Who control this all life cycle of the Java? JVM. So what are the 5 states we are having in Java life cycle? First one, new state. Second one, runnable state or ready state. And third one, running state. Fourth one, non-runnable or waiting state, or also terminate or dead state. So these are the 5 states. We can see this is the diagram for particular life cycle. So we are having different types of diagrams according to this also. So we are having, this is, so new state. First it starts the one main thread, new states. So then runnable state, then running state, then terminate non runnable state, then terminated. So this is we can call it as is a waiting state and terminated waiting state and all. We are having different types of okay, this is the thread life cycle diagram. Okay, na? This is the new state, this is runnable state, this is running state, this is terminated state. So but this runnable state and running state is mutually interface or interact with the non-runnable state, means waiting state. Okay na? So ikkada process waiting lo undi anedi ikkada runnable state ki teliyali kada. Process start avutundi, start ayin tarvata running ki veltundi, execution process ki veltundi, vellinappudu ikkada two modes jarugutayi anamata. If the process is busy, it will be going to wait. If the process is not busy, it will be free, it will be going to execute, that is called running. After running, it is going to be terminate. So later on, after waiting, it will also go for waiting for some resources, then after the resources are reached, then it will go and execute, it will catch and go and execute this particular waiting process. Okay na? That is, okay na? First it is create the one thread, that is new thread. Okay na? Another also called main thread. Okay, it starts the process to execute. So runnable, that is called runnable state. So when it going to executing, okay na, sometimes the CPU is busy, it will need to wait, that is called non-runnable or blocked state or waiting state. So that is when it in this situation it's going to be sleep, it's going to be block on IO or wait for some instructions, and also it is sometimes it suspend, sometimes it will be wait for IO resources in this situation. After those available, it's going to execute, and finally it's going to run with the help of run method exists. Okay, now here when the running is going to occur, it starts. So the sleep done or IO complete, and it is available and reuse and modify, it will be happen according to we will get different types of things. So these are the 5 states we are having in a particular thread life cycle. Okay, so according to those diagram, I will explain here. New state, first one is the new state. So what is the new state? The thread is a new state if we create an instance of the thread class. So first we need to create an instance for thread class. So that is a new state, but before the invocation of starts method. So manam start cheyaka mundale, before invocate the start method, we can create one thread, that is called new state. Next, runnable state. The thread is in runnable state. If the thread is in runnable state after invocation of a start method, but the thread scheduler has not selected to be the running thread, so that is runnable state. So then running state, the thread is in running state if the thread scheduler has selected. If it is running state, the thread scheduler has select it. Next, non-runnable state or blocked state or waiting state. So this is the state when the thread is still alive, but is currently not eligible to run. The thread aithe alive untundi, but it's not dead. The thread is alive, but is currently not eligible to run. It will be waiting for some IO resources. After getting, it will be go and execute. But until that, it will be eligible but not run. Okay, na? It is alive. That is called non-runnable state or blocked or waiting state. Then terminated. Last one is terminated. A thread is in terminated or dead state when it run method exists. So when the run method exists, automatically the thread is terminated or dead state. So that is called terminated. So here we are having 5 states. So according to new, the thread is in new state. If you create an instance of thread class, but before the invocation of start method. Next, runnable state. The thread is in runnable state after invocating start method, but the thread scheduler has not select it to be the running thread. The thread is in running state if the thread scheduler has select it. Non-runnable state. This is the state when the thread is still alive but is currently not eligible to run. Terminated. A thread is in terminated or dead state when its run method exists. So this is the program controlling the main thread. So here we can create a class current thread demo. So this is the class name. Class is the keyword current thread demo. We can open the class. We can write the main method in the class, public static void main string args. Then open the main method. Here we can create a thread. So how to create a thread? So thread. So that is a keyword to create a thread. So thread space ichi object name equal to thread dot current thread. So thread dot current thread. Here like we can create the main thread. Next we can print a system dot output println current thread. What is the current thread? T. Okay na. So we can what is the current thread? Automatically it will be assigned to the thread object T. So then we can print the T. So how to print already we know. Okay na, with the help of output class system dot out dot println. So current thread is T. Next, change the name of the thread. Suppose you want to change the name of the thread. How to change it? Set name. For you want to set that. Okay na, get name untai, set names, even methods, functions untai manaki. T dot set name. So in this we can write my thread. So in this we can write my thread, then close it. Next we need to print. Okay, system dot out dot println after name change. So they name changes manamu object T ne kada. Okay na, thread name e kada, that is about T. So then we can print T also. Then try for int n is equal to 5, n greater than 0 and n minus minus. So system dot out dot println. So for example we can try we can use the for loop to print the thread in different ways. For example, n is 5, n greater than 0 Okay, n minus minus already we know. So then we can print the n. Now we can print the n. So what is that? Thread dot sleep. So what is the sleep mode? It will be wait sometimes. Okay, thread dot sleep. Close this. Next, catch interrupted exception E. So then we can catch any error is there, it will be catch the exceptions. Try block followed by catch block. So then catch opens, then we can print main thread interrupted. We can print main thread interrupted. So then we can close it, we can close the main function. So according to that program, the output is this. The current thread is thread main 5, main after name change thread my thread name. So then how many times we are printing? The 5 times. So it starts from 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So this is the output according to our program. So next, thread, creating thread. So how to create the threads? So how to create the threads? So you are creating the threads with the help of 2 ways. A thread can be created in 2 ways. So what are those 2 ways? One is by implementing runnable interface. Second one is by extending thread class. First one by implementing runnable interface. Second one by extending thread class. So according to the first one, first method, thread creation by implementing runnable interface. So one way of creating a thread is to create a class. So first we need to create a thread. First one way we want to create a thread is to create a class that implements the runnable interface. So we must need to give the definition of run method. First we need to create a one class. So that implements the runnable interface. We must need to give the definition of run method. This run method is the entry point for the thread. So and the thread will be alive till run method finishes its execution. So that is the main use of this thread. We can when this run method is start at entry point for the thread, and thread will alive until where it when it going to finish its execution. So that is the first method, and once the thread is created, it will starts running. So once we are creating a thread, it starts running when start method gets called. When start method gets called. Basically start method calls run method implicitly. So that is the main version. Basically the calls method implements run method. Calls the run method. So for example here we see the some program. Here what is our class name? What is according to class multi-threading demo. So how we are performing here? By implements the runnable method. So that is, this is the way we need to create demo implements runnable. So that is the entire the class. Open and write our main method. It starts from where? Run method. So public void run. Here we need to print some. My thread is in running state. So you can create a thread. Basically starts method calls run method. So start method calls, and first we need to write the run method kada. So in this class we need to write the run method. So public void run method. So in this method we need to print something. So what is that? We need to print some message. The system.out.println my thread is in running state. So next, then we can write main method public static void main string args. So then we can create a one new object that is a multi-threading demo. So what is our class name? Multi-threading demo. So here there is the constructor. So that is the constructor. So without arguments. The constructors is two types, constructors with arguments and without arguments. This is without arguments. Okay, now here we are create the constructors. So already we know the syntax of how to create the constructors. So what is that? In general, class name space ichesi object name equal to new keyword, new space ichesi class name. So according to what is class name? Multi-threading demo. So here we need to write any object name. So always the object name is lowercase. Here I am taking obj equal to new multi-threading demo. So this is the constructor without arguments. How many types of constructors are there? Two types of constructors. So what are those? Constructors with arguments and constructors without arguments. Okay. So then here at this point then we can assign the thread to the particular objects. Here we can create an object, thread T. How to create the thread? Already we know the syntax. Thread T equal to so new thread. So in this we can write object name obj, that is thread T obj equal to new thread obj. So that is object. So then you need to call T obj dot start. So this is the object name T obj. In simple we can write just a T. Okay na? So what is the how to call this start method? We need to access that object name dot method name. Here what is object name? T object dot start method. Then close the main class and then close the main method and then close the main class. So automatically we will get the output. Which output we will get? It will calls the start method. What is that output of it? So my thread name is, my thread is in running state. My thread is in running state. So I hope you understood. So these programs already I give a lecture about this thread multi-threading. I have 6 or 5 video lectures already I am given to your seniors batch. So you have to view in our DBS Talks regarding this programming very clearly. You will understood. Okay, just I will give the plain note here. So you have to see and you have to learn much more in DBS Talks. Already my videos are uploaded in DBS Talks regarding these concepts. Okay now. So this is the main. First we can create one main thread. Okay now, with the help of in run method. So then we start this execution of a thread. So according to we in this main method we can create one constructor. Here we are using a constructor without arguments. So we are creating one object. So then we can create one thread. So through the thread we are accessing the particular object. So how to access this? With the help of this syntax. What is that? The object name dot method name. Automatically it will access and go and execute the particular main thread. So what is the answer? My thread is in running state. Next, second method, thread creation by extending thread class. Thread creation by extending thread class. So here this is the second way of creating a thread. Yes, here we need to create a new class that extends the thread class. So here we need to create a new class. So what is the use of this new class? That extends the thread class. Okay, the class should override the run method which is the entry point for the new thread as described above. So the class should override that run method which is the entry point for the new thread is described. Next, the call starts method to start the execution of a thread. So the call start method is used to start the execution of a thread. So here we are having the example for this program. Here we are creating a class, and that is class multi-threading demo. So which class? How we are creating this thread? by extending thread class kada, that's we need to write here compulsory, extends thread. Then we can use the run, we can write the run method and open the method and print something here, my thread is running state. So then close this particular method. Then we can start the main method. In this we can create one constructor. So then we can call the particular thread. So what is the output? My thread is in running state. So according to that, so we are executing the particular one. Here what is the difference between this? Here we are not creating any separate thread here. Automatically it will take this particular object name dot method name. So automatically it will access the particular thread class. So with the child class will be executed automatically here. Okay na? That is the main difference between that above and this one. So that is the output. My thread is in running state. Okay na? So you want to hope mostly understood. We have to see in DBS Talks with other programs. Okay na? You will be easily understood regarding this multi-threading concepts. So here in the next class we are going to learn about creating multiple threads, how to creating multiple threads. Okay na? I hope all you understood. So what is multitasking and what is multi-threading, what is thread, examples for thread, and advantages of multi-threading, how to perform multitasking, in how many ways, what are those, what is the difference between them, and what is the thread life cycle, and how many states we are having, how they are going to perform, and also we discussed about how to creation of a thread. We are creating thread in 2 ways. We are discussing the thread can be created by extending class, the thread can be created by implement extend class. So in the next class we are going to learn about how to create multiple threads. I hope all you understood. Thank you one and all.